My wife toasted at the party. "You're going to be a father!" All the friends cheered. I stood up. Better congratulate Emily's husband. He turned pale. I destroyed my marriage, my reputation in our friend group, and my wife's future in the span of 30 seconds. And honestly, I slept like a baby afterwards. I run an architectural salvage business. My whole life is about looking at old structures, figuring out what's load-bearing and what's rot, and saving the good parts while demolition takes the rest. I thought I had a solid foundation with my wife, 29 female. We've been married for 4 years, together for 6. I built her a life that most people dream of: custom home, new cars, vacations twice a year. I'm the steady one, the provider, the guy who fixes things. I thought she loved that about me. Turns out she just loved what I could buy. The demolition started about a month ago. I was in our home office looking for the deed to a commercial property I was bidding on. We keep all the important docs in a heavy biometric safe. My wife had left her iPad charging on the desk right next to it. As I was spinning the dial on the safe, the battery on the keypad had died, so I was using the mechanical override. Her tablet lit up. A message popped up on the lock screen. Sender, M's hubby. Message, he's so clueless. Just keep playing the doting wife until we get back from the baby moon, then we're set for life. I froze. M's hubby is the husband of my wife's best friend, Emily. We hung out with them constantly. BBQs, lake trips, dinners. He was the guy who drank my beer and slapped me on the back. I didn't yell, I didn't throw the iPad. A cold, heavy feeling settled in my gut, like I'd just swallowed a stone. I guessed her passcode on the second try. It was our wedding anniversary. Ironic. I spent the next 2 hours reading 6 months of messages. It wasn't just an affair. It was a strategic operation. They mocked me. They called me boring and obsessed with work. But the worst part wasn't the insults. It was the biology. My wife was talking about being late. She was talking about pregnancy symptoms, and Emily's husband was coaching her on how to sell it to me. Wife, if I am pregnant, it's definitely yours. We haven't been careful. Emily's husband, doesn't matter. Just make sure he signs the birth certificate. Once he's listed as the father, the state makes him pay. We can use his money to set us up later. They were planning paternity fraud. They were going to pass off his kid as mine, hook me for 18 years of child support, and then eventually leave me to be together on my dime. Here's the kicker, the one piece of information that they didn't have. I had a vasectomy 8 years ago, long before I even met my wife. I never told her because early in our dating phase, she said she didn't want kids, and I didn't want to make it a thing. As the years went on, I figured I'd tell her if she ever changed her mind, but seeing those texts, I realized that secret was my ace in the hole. I put the iPad back exactly where it was. I didn't confront her. Instead, I went into full damage control mode. For the next 3 weeks, I was an Oscar-worthy actor. I asked about her day, I brought her flowers. Behind the scenes, I was moving liquid assets into protected business accounts, consulting a shark of a divorce attorney, and hiring a private investigator to trail them. I needed proof that wasn't just screenshots. I needed 4K video of them entering motels. I needed dates, times, and receipts. The PI came through. I got photos of them at a Motel 6 off the interstate, classy, and videos of them kissing in her car parked 3 streets from our house. Then came the summer kickoff party. My wife organized it. She invited 20 of our closest friends and family, including, of course, Emily and Emily's husband. I manned the grill, flipping burgers and smiling while Emily's husband asked me for investment advice. The audacity of this guy was unreal. He was looking me in the eye, eating my beer, sleeping with my wife, and planning to make me raise his kid. Around sunset, my wife gathered everyone on the deck. She looked beautiful, I have to admit, glowing. She clinked a spoon against her glass. "Everyone, quiet down," she giggled. "I have a massive announcement." She placed both hands on her stomach and looked at me with teary, loving eyes. "We've been keeping a secret. I'm pregnant. You're going to be a daddy." The crowd went wild. Her mom started crying. Emily screamed and hugged her. Emily's husband raised his beer to me, a smirk playing on his lips. They had sprung the trap. Public acknowledgement. They thought social pressure would lock me in. I set my tongs down. I waited for the applause to die down just enough. The silence was expectant. "That is incredible news," I said, my voice steady, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. I looked at her, then slowly turned my head to lock eyes with Emily's husband. Better congratulate Emily's husband. The air left the deck instantly. It was like a vacuum sealed the entire party. My wife's smile twitched. "What? Honey, you've had too many beers." "I'm stone cold sober," I said, stepping away from the grill. "But seeing as I had a vasectomy 8 years ago, a medical fact I can prove, and seeing as I have screenshots of the texts between you two planning to pin his baby on me to secure child support, I think the congratulations belong to the biological father." I pointed a finger right at Emily's husband. "You might want to check your phone, Emily. I just forwarded you the file." Emily dropped her wine glass. It shattered, red wine splashing over her white dress like a crime scene. She scrambled for her purse. "You're a liar," my wife shrieked, her face turning a distinct shade of violent red. "You're crazy. He's jealous. He's trying to humiliate me." "The PI report is in the kitchen," I said calmly, "along with the photos of you two at the motel last Tuesday. Now I'd suggest you leave my property before I have you trespassed." It was absolute chaos. My wife slapped his husband so hard I heard the crack from 10 feet away. My wife tried to lunge at me, screaming that I was ruining everything, but my brother stepped in and blocked her path. They left, but if I thought the hard part was over, I was wrong. The party was just the opening shot. The real war began the next morning. My wife, let's call her the ex-to-be, didn't go down without a fight. She went to her mother's that night, but tried to come back the next day while I was at work. I had already changed the locks and updated the security codes. She called the police, putting on a performance that would rival Meryl Streep. She told them I had illegally locked her out and that she was a vulnerable pregnant woman. The cops called me. "Sir, you can't deny access to the marital home." "Officer," I told him, "I have filed for an emergency hearing, but she is welcome to retrieve her personal items with a police escort. However, given the threats she made against my property, which I have recorded, she is not staying." She got her clothes, but as she walked past the security camera in the hallway, she looked right into the lens and mouthed, "I'm taking it all." The entitlement was staggering. 2 days later, my lawyer received her demands. She wasn't asking for an apology, she was demanding blood. $6,000 a month in temporary spousal support, exclusive use of the marital home, meaning I had to move out, $15,000 up front for her legal fees, and full medical coverage. For the pregnancy. Her lawyer was banking on the presumption of paternity. In our state, if a baby is conceived while you are married, the law assumes the husband is the father. It doesn't matter if the kid looks nothing like you until a judge signs a paper saying otherwise, you are on the hook. She knew this. She wanted to stall the divorce until the baby was born, forcing me to pay support for months. My lawyer, Sarah, looked at the demands and laughed. "We need to nuke this presumption immediately," she said. "We filed a motion to disestablish paternity and an emergency motion for genetic testing." My wife's team fought back dirty. They argued that prenatal testing was too risky for the baby. Total lie. Modern blood tests are non-invasive. They were trying to run out the clock. When that didn't work, she escalated. A week later, I was at work when 2 deputies walked in. My stomach dropped. I was being served with a temporary restraining order, TRO. In her affidavit, my wife claimed that during the barbecue, I had cornered her with a knife. I was holding barbecue tongs, and threatened to cut the baby out. She claimed she feared for her life. It was a complete fabrication, a nuclear option designed to force me out of the house and destroy my credibility. Because TROs are often granted ex parte, without the other person present to defend themselves, the judge signed it based solely on her word.
The deputies demanded I surrender my firearms. I had to hand over my hunting rifle and my handgun, marching out of my own business like a criminal while my employees watched. It was humiliating. I was barred from coming within 500 feet of her, which meant if she decided to squat in our house, I couldn't go home. But here is where her entitlement blinded her. She forgot that I'm in the security business. My house is wired. The knife incident she described? I had 3 different camera angles of it. The footage showed me standing calmly by the grill, 10 feet away from her, delivering the toast, while she screamed and charged me. We went to the full hearing for the TRO 10 days later. She showed up playing the victim card hard. No makeup, loose clothes, trembling hands. She cried on the stand, telling the judge how terrified she was of my violent temper. My lawyer waited until she was done. Then she stood up. "Your Honor, we would like to present Exhibit A, high-definition video and audio of the entire interaction on the deck." My wife's face went pale. Her lawyer tried to object, but the judge overruled it. We played the video on the courtroom monitors. The judge watched me speak calmly. He watched her lunging. He watched her friends holding her back. He watched me never once raise a hand or a weapon. The judge paused the video and looked over his spectacles at my wife. The silence was deafening. "Ma'am," he said, his voice ice cold, "you testified under oath that he had a knife to your throat in the kitchen. This video shows him on the opposite side of the deck holding barbecue tongs. This is a blatant abuse of this court's resources." He dismissed the TRO immediately. He also granted our attorney's fees for the frivolous filing. But I wasn't done. Because she had lied to the court, her credibility was shattered. My lawyer used that momentum to push for the DNA test. "Your Honor," Sarah argued, "given the petitioner's demonstrated willingness to commit perjury, we cannot accept her word regarding the paternity. We need scientific proof immediately." The judge agreed. He ordered the test and gave her 48 hours to comply or face contempt charges. She took the test. 4 days later, the results came in. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. That document was my freedom papers. We filed for summary judgment on paternity. I was legally stripped of being the father. No child support, no medical bills, no college fund. Now we had to split the assets. This is where she thought she still had me. We live in an equitable distribution state, not a 50-50 state. She wanted half the house, half the business, half the retirement. We sat down for mediation. Emily's husband was out of the picture by now. Emily had kicked him out, frozen their accounts, and he was staying in a cheap motel. He had 0 money to help my wife. She sat across the table, looking tired and desperate. "We want $50,000 in equity buyout and 2 years of alimony," her lawyer said. I looked at them. "No." "That's a standard offer," his lawyer blustered. "You're forgetting something," I said. "The post-nuptial agreement. 2 years ago, when I inherited a chunk of money from my grandfather and reinvested it into the business, I asked her to sign a post-nup. At the time, I framed it, honestly, as protecting her. Business creates liability. If I got sued, I didn't want them coming after her assets. She signed it without reading the fine print because she trusted me. Or, rather, she trusted that she could manipulate me. But the agreement had a bad boy, bad girl clause. It stated that if the marriage ended due to proven adultery, the cheating spouse waived their right to spousal support and any claim on the other spouse's separate property or business appreciation. Her lawyer read the clause. He turned the page, read it again, and then slowly closed his folder. He whispered something to her. She looked at him, panicked. "But I didn't know," she wailed. "Ignorance of the contract you signed is not a defense," I said. "And since we have proof of the adultery and the paternity fraud, the clause activates." We also presented a forensic accounting of her spending. The Motel 6 rooms paid with our joint credit card. The girls' trips that were actually hookups with Emily's husband, joint account. She had spent nearly $15,000 of marital funds on her affair. My lawyer slid a final offer across the table. We are deducting the dissipated marital funds, the affair money, the legal fees for the fake TRO, and the PI costs from her share of the furniture and car equity. The math was brutal. She got to keep her car, which still had a loan on it, she got her clothes, and she got a check for exactly $1,240. She lost the house, she lost the alimony, she lost the business share. She was 6 months pregnant with another man's child, unemployed, she had quit her job expecting me to support her, and effectively homeless. The social fallout was the final blow. Emily went scorched earth. She took the file I gave her, the texts where my wife called Emily pathetic and dumb, and she posted them. She didn't put them on Reddit, she put them on Facebook and tagged everyone. My wife's parents, her cousins, our mutual friends. Everyone saw the texts. They saw the calculated malice. They saw her calling her own baby a paycheck. The friends who had initially taken her side, thinking I was a jerk for kicking out a pregnant woman, did a complete 180. She was ghosted by everyone in our circle. 6 months have passed since the barbecue. I was sitting on that same deck last night, drinking a cold beer, enjoying the silence. No drama, no lies, just peace. I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. He was born today. He looks like him. I have nothing. I hope you're happy knowing you destroyed a family. I took a sip of my beer. I thought about the text messages where she planned to trap me. I thought about the police escort meeting me out of my own business. I thought about the lies she told in court. I didn't feel a shred of guilt. I didn't feel sad. I felt free. I blocked the number and went back to watching the sunset. Last I heard,
she's living in a studio apartment trying to squeeze child support out of Emily's husband, but he's working under the table doing handyman gigs to hide his income, so she's getting pennies. They deserve each other. I kept my house, I kept my business, and I learned a valuable lesson. Trust is good, but verification is better, and always keep your receipts. If you liked reading about how I legally dismantle the cheater's life, hit that subscribe button. It costs less than a divorce lawyer and feels just as good.